Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be building Mr. Circuit lab number 14. So if you want to open up a new TinkerCad, create a new circuit, we can get started. Okay, so now that we have a new circuit pulled up, why don't we start by bringing in some of our components. We can start with our breadboard. Drag that in. Next, we can bring in our PNP transistor. Remember, we're bringing in 2 of these, and instead of the transistors that we looked at before, with the big N on it, that stands for NPN. We need the PNP transistor. So you can go ahead and bring in 2 of those. And one of them, I'm going to rotate 180 degrees so they face the same way as they are in the lab manual. Next, we can bring in our red LED. And then we can bring in our 2 resistors. I'm going to rotate both of these. And I'm going to change one of them to a resistance of 100 ohms. And I'm going to rotate the other one here and change that to a resistance of 4,700 ohms. And lastly, we can bring in our 9-volt battery. So now that we have all of our components in, we can start placing them. Why don't we start with the first transistor, this Q1. Both of these components are the same, but there's just going to be 2 of them in 2 different spots. So the first one, why don't we place about halfway across the circuit in row J. And we can place the second one in row F with 1 row of them connected here. See how the right side, or the third, the collector of our Q1 is connected to the collector of our Q2. Next, we can put in our 100 ohm resistor. This is going to go with the left side of it in that same line. And the right side of it will go a couple spaces down for now, and then we'll connect that shortly. Next, we can put in our second resistor, our 4,700 ohm resistor. This can go in row G, and the right side of it will be in line with the base or the middle lead wire coming from our Q2. And the other side can go a couple spaces down. Next, we can connect our first extra wire here. This will go from the base of Q1 over to the emitter of Q2. Right there, and you can leave that green. Next one, we bring in our red LED. This will go in row J again, in line with the 100 ohm resistor on the left side. But we are going to make sure before we place this in, we've seen in some other labs, we have to rotate the LED. So we have the negative or the cathode side in the correct spot. Now we can place that in. Now lastly, why don't we put in our 2 battery leads? So you can see the positive red lead will be going in row I, in line with the emitter of Q1, and the black lead will be going in row H, and that can go, actually I'm going to put this in row G so it's easier to see, and that can go in line with the positive side of our LED. And I'm going to change the colors of these so they're easier to follow. And lastly, you see here that on the lab manual, it shows that there are 2 probe wires. This is what we would use if we're going to physically build the circuit, but we are going to use something different instead. We are just going to use 1 wire to connect both of them. So we will connect a wire from row F in line with the left side of our 4,700 ohm resistor. I'm going to bring it over to still in row F in line with the black lead in our LED. And we can connect it there. We can start simulation. And so here your LED turns on. If you build this circuit physically, you'll be able to test different conductors with our 2 probe wires. But for TinkerCad's sake, we are going to keep it with just the 1 wire because we can't test different materials in TinkerCad. So if your LED turns on, it means you built your circuit correctly. Don't forget to take your screenshot and put it on the Google Doc. And thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.